Good evening. I want to welcome everyone to this lecture in our Alumni Leadership Lecture Series. Looks like the rain is playing spoil sport with the attendance today. As you know, we have been having very good attendance in these lectures, and I think they've been extremely beneficial to our students. And I think the alumni have also been enjoying giving these lectures. And in fact, we are now starting to receive calls from alumni volunteering to talk to the students and the faculty. So I think it's been a very positive experience so far, and I hope that today is an aberration. I know your term exams are getting closer, and attendance is going to get thinner as we go along, but we do have a couple of lectures. Actually, we still have 4 lectures this semester. We have 5 more this semester, this month, in November. Okay, so from now till November 19th, we have about 5 lectures. After that, we'll leave you alone, and we won't restart the series till January. Today's speaker is L. Kannan. He's a BTech Mechanical, 1988 batch, and he has a fantastic track record of successful development and commercialization of customized solutions in the domain of electromechanical engineering, particularly for products that are price sensitive and demand high reliability. He does engage widely with grassroots organizations and NGOs working with rural poor on sustainable solutions for improving quality of life. He's a serial entrepreneur. He has founded a number of for-profit as well as non-profit entities: Sunbeam Chain of Schools in 1990, Vortex Engineering in 2001, Centroid Design in 2008, Fractal Foundation in 2009, and Microspin Machine Works in 2011. And I'm sure he will take us through that journey that he has been through. He is the inventor of 4 inventions related to automated currency dispensation, 1 invention related to staple fiber carding, and 1 patent related to simulators for skill training, all patent pending. He has also mentored several innovations under Fractal Foundation, which was awarded for social innovation in the Innovation for India Awards 2012 by the Marico Innovation Foundation. He has also contributed a key engineering solution for a community health initiative which was recognized at the All India Ophthalmological Society Congress. Perhaps he'll talk to us about that also. And he's associated with various initiatives like Will Grow and NEN that promote and mentor entrepreneurs. Now, I have had the acquaintance of Kannan for at least the last 6 years or so due to my association with LRAMP and later with Wilgrow. So I'm very happy that Kannan is here to talk to all of you, and I invite him on stage to give his lecture.
Thank you, Professor Nag, and thanks to all of you who have braved the rain to be here. I will just take you on a quick scan of a few slides, mostly pictures, very little text, to just give a flavor of different things that I was involved in and the kind of lessons that I have learned, sometimes by paying a heavy price, sometimes not so heavy, and sometimes making others pay a heavy price. Hopefully the lessons will be useful, particularly to those who are on the verge of starting their own entrepreneurial journeys. So the title is saying innovation for rural marketplace, rural India, etc., is normally looked at as a sort of contradiction in terms, because the general conception is innovation means Microsoft, Apple, Silicon Valley. But actually things have moved well beyond merely Silicon Valley, as you can see from some examples here. The question still remains, where does India figure in all this map of innovation? And to many Indians, it comes as a surprise when I tell them, but actually, in some sense, globally, the flavor of the day when it comes to innovation seems to be India. India has spawned a large number of Buzzwords, innovation is probably the most widely used phrase to capture a typical kind of a typical genre of innovation that is perhaps unique to India. The most commonly cited examples are Selco, which is a company founded by an IIT Kharagpur alumnus, if I'm right, Harish Hande, which is into solar lighting for rural Karnataka. Primarily, Karnataka is their area of operation. Of course, Tata Nano needs no introduction. There is this new phrase called reverse innovation. I don't know how many of you have heard of it. Traditionally, innovations used to happen in, say, Silicon Valley or France or Germany. And after the markets there are in some sense saturated, the products would trickle down to the less privileged, less fortunate countries like India. But in the last about 10-15 years, actually the flow has been the other way. Products have been innovated upon and developed for India, by companies in India, by people in India, and they have proven so successful that they have been then exported to other places. So one example of that is John Deere, which is a tractor company. When they tried to sell their tractors in India, they found that farms in India were simply too small to be able to use the tractors that they normally make for markets in US and other places. So they set up a design team of Indian engineers to rework their designs in a manner that is more applicable to the kind of land holding sizes and farming patterns of India. They did succeed in the Indian marketplace, but then they discovered that not all of America is about 2,000 hectare farms. There are a large number of hobby farmers, hobby gardeners, whose land holdings are comparable to that of Indian farmers. And in fact, there is a pretty large number of them in the US. So these products were then marketed successfully in the US too. Similarly, General Electric developed a self-diagnostic kit for diabetes. India is the diabetes capital of the world. I don't know how many of you are aware of it. Thanks largely to food changes that have happened in the last maybe 50 years or so. Widespread consumption of polished rice, sugar, and all these things. So this is, of course, a business opportunity for somebody who is in the medical business. And they came up with this very simple, easy-to-use, self-diagnostic tool for checking the blood sugar and things like that at a price which is very affordable for the Indian market. But not only did it sell in the Indian market, it's been successfully sold in many other countries in Europe and elsewhere too. And most recently, actually, probably a week or two ago, I saw in the paper that Unilever Global, their top executives are taking a lot of lessons from Hindustan Unilever to learn things like 1 rupee sachet packaging and etc. to figure how to sell to customers in Europe at the time of recession. And they are adopting a lot of the practices developed by Hindustan Unilever for Indian markets, and they are now selling 1 euro sachets of different things in Europe. And another word is polycentric innovation, which means that you don't develop in some geography like Seattle and then try to export it all over the world. Instead, do carry out your development using teams of engineers who are distributed at different locations globally, and the result of the products you develop through these dispersed teams in a collaborative way will actually be having much more global acceptability. So I think Microsoft has only one outside US design center, and that's in India. And similarly, Xerox, I think, has set it up in our research park, a design center which collaborates with their mother design team in developing products. And there is a story of the French automobile company Renault. I don't know how many of you have heard the story. And their CEO actually coined the term frugal engineering to describe the kind of design that goes on in India. They had some particular technical problem, which they called 3 companies, one from India, another from Japan, and another from Germany, I'm told, and posed this problem for which they needed a solution. It was a consulting kind of assignment that was given parallelly to 3 different companies. All the 3 companies independently came up with solutions, all the 3 that worked well. The difference was that the solution that the Indian company came up with cost 1/10 of what the others had come up with. And this greatly surprised them, and they decided to then set up their R&D and other facilities in India. So this is actually a classmate of mine in New York one day said, hey, there's a full-page article about you, which was an exaggeration. But this came in the Financial Times. It was a full-page article about the topic innovation, in which there was this little picture which I'm showing you here, which features the kind of different innovations that are being cited as examples of what comes from India in a newspaper like Financial Times. So I have already told you about Selco, that's what is featured there. Bollywood is considered another very uniquely Indian innovation. It's probably the most prolific, if not the most creative. And Tata Nano is there, Tata Swatch. The ATM there, I'll be talking to you a bit more about it in the next few slides. So I will sequence my presentation in the form of a few short stories. I will tell you the moral of the story at the beginning and then go into the story. So the first story is about how you identify an opportunity for innovation. Typically, I find that many people make the mistake of joining some bandwagon. Today, mobile is the flavor of the day. Let me do something in mobile or social media. I think that's the wrong way to go about anything. Being part of a trend, by the time you identify a trend, it's too late to join it. Instead, if we were to look at a problem that needs a solution and then try to architect a solution which will have many pieces, then typically we would find that there is some gap which needs to be filled to complete the picture. And that's actually the opportunity that we need to work on, and that's where we need to work on an innovation. So one instance of where we identified such an opportunity and worked on it is what I'm showing you in this slide, that 80% of people in rural India have no access to banks. They don't even have a bank account. And this doesn't mean that they don't need banks. McKinsey study showed about, I'm talking about close to 7-8 years ago, that under 5,000 rupee, 3,000 rupee ticket size of loans taken from the street corner money lender kind of thing by people in rural India adds up to almost $100 billion annually. So there is a very large need for financial services, which there is a big gap in providing. And this is actually a project done by IIT, Electrical Department, Professor Junjunwala's team. They were trying to understand the nature of this problem, and they trying to explore how information and communication technology could be used to bridge this gap. And there were some experiments tried, like using rural internet service providers to also sell insurance, also sell some loans. And the finding was that unless you actually make a person into an account holder and deliver the bread and butter services of banking, deposits, withdrawal, you can't actually engage in a deeper relationship and then sell other higher margin products like loans or insurance and other things. So in a couple of villages, conventional ATMs were put. The experiment was to see whether people who had never even been to a bank, will they have reluctance in transacting with a machine, etc. The finding was that actually the people were happy. They thought it was very convenient that they could go somewhere nearby and withdraw money. But the problem was most of the time the ATMs wouldn't work for a number of reasons.